Hello and welcome to You'll Probably Agree. I'm with Pat McDonald from HollywoodChicago.com.
Hello, Mike.
It's nice to see you again, Pat.
Yes.
Now, you got to see Toy Story 4 early.
Correct.
And having said that, we know that Toy Story 3 kind of ended on this perfect sort of note, you know, this wonderful send-off to Andy. And the biggest concern I had when seeing that they were going to make a Toy Story 4 was, how could you possibly continue the story? That was the perfect emotional bookend.
Right.
So, having said that, is Toy Story 4, I mean, first of all, good? And also, does it exist for a reason other than just money?
That's a good question. That was my concern as well. In fact, I was not particularly looking forward to Toy Story 4.
Yeah,
to me, it was one of them on the list. I knew I had to cover it, but I anticipated that it might have been too many times into the well. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm pleased to say that because Pixar is Pixar, and Pixar, I think, is a very, very big philosopher on story first.
Mm-hmm.
Story first is always going to win your day. I don't think they press one button on their computer until they have a good enough story locked down. I'm not saying it's complete. I'm saying there's probably adjustments made, of course, when they bring the voice talent in, etc. But the opportunity that Pixar gives their creators is that give us a story that works. Give us a reason to do Toy Story 4, and that's why this is definitely a worthy contender in the whole series. It's different. It's emotional in a different way. It relies less on the connection to humans than the toy world itself, and that is the genius of the film. And it continues the series in a very, very positive way.
Oh, that is so. When you see it, you don't go, "Why does we ended Andy's story?" Now we're saying, do you think after seeing that you're gonna think you want to see more Toy Story, or do you think they should just end it before
Yeah, they certainly, at least in this one, left it open-ended. It's a conclusion, but it's open-ended, and
sequels.
I don't anticipate. Tom Hanks said he feels this is the last one, and I don't know what to say. It's a lot of people can do Hank's voice, so they could probably take it into the future, and I'm sure there'll be attempts to keep it going. According to Pixar, they're saying we never say never about anything, only because we love the franchise so much. And I could see, as new generations come in to work for their animation company, let me do that again because I burped.
That's okay.
As new people come into their animation company, they obviously get new spins on these characters. And it's possible in another 5 to 10 years we'll see Toy Story 5. So I'm not saying that they shut the door, is basically the short answer on that.
I see. So, having said that, do you think that, if people go on Rotten Tomatoes today, the movie stands at 98%.
Yes.
Do you think that it creates sort of this unrealistic expectation folks might have when walking into the movie now because of sort of the high reputation that Toy Story has? And
yeah,
go, oh my God, it's at 100 again, or 98. This is insane.
Right. Another really good question. I had a different attitude. Mine was like, I think they're going back to the well too much. I'm not expecting much here.
Yeah.
And then they exceeded my expectations. So, but if you're going in and saying, I'm expecting another classic rendition of the Toy Story series, and the buzz around that has been, the Buzz Lightyear around that has been, there are a few people who weren't particularly thrilled with the direction they took. I think it's just kind of parsing your attitude toward the series. I think the risk of going away from the human playmates to more of a toy-centric story is a risk. It's always a risk when you're doing something different. And there's always going to be people who are not going to be along for the ride.
Yeah, because they kind of bank on their nostalgia off of their knowledge of the emotional arc of the story. But it's like, in a way, I think it's appropriate from what it sounds like, because you need to do something different, because you can't keep banking on, oh, what's going to happen when Bonnie gets older? Well,
Exactly.
we know what's going to happen.
And what is unique about, too, we do see there is a transition in the story, and this transition really has to do with somebody being a particular gender. I mean, girls and boys play with toys differently, and I think the movie does, flirt with that, which is interesting, and it does give it a somewhat feminist atmosphere. And I'm not saying it's hardcore or anything. I'm just saying it acknowledges.
Bo Peep seems like a very independent character, like
Exactly.
Jessie was. Yeah,
Exactly. She's escaped the realm of being owned, if you will. Not that that's good or bad, because really they're not owned; they're played with. That's a bad word, but she escaped the realm of being a plaything, and we see symbolically that her going out on her own is going to be a foreshadowing of the rest of the toys aspects.
Well,
and also I think maybe you've heard of this, but there is a new character named Forky.
Yes.
And Forky is a product of Bonnie's imagination. She makes the toy in her
little play school. She just gets some glue and puts some eyes on it,
and because it's from her imagination, it becomes a favored toy. And we forget that a lot of our connection to toys also has to do with our imagination, and that kind of storyline was kind of poignant, because we do. I always think the line to infinity and beyond. The beyond is the imagination, and infinity is the infinity of our imagination. So I think using Forky as a character, who's great comic relief, by the way, beautifully done by Tony Hale from Veep. A great choice for voice too, and just what can I say? You can make a million jokes about a fork toy.
Yes,
so,
and I don't know if they overdo it or not, but who knows?
Well, I think this is the funniest of the four.
Oh,
okay. They do turn on the humor a little bit more.
But not like in a condescending Last Jedi way.
No, not at all. Not at all. So there's no.
What were your thoughts
sweeping
on
of the shoulders?
Yeah, what were your thoughts on the new characters aside from Forky? Do they work? Does sort of the expansion of the world work at all?
Sure. Well, I think one of the positive evolutions of the Toy Story series is always bringing in new toys, new characters.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of significant new characters. Key and Peele play stuff. Again, great comic relief. In fact, I was so enamored by that I decided not to mention them in my review, which I'm posting tonight.
Yeah.
I didn't mention them at all. I put them in the cast list, but not mentioning them. And Keanu Reeves voices.
Kaboom.
This is so funny. Duke Kaboom.
Yeah.
The Canadian knockoff of Evel Knievel.
Two of the nicest actors in Hollywood in one movie.
It's a tribute to both, the 70s toys and how lame they were.
Yeah.
And the fact that people were doing knockoffs of toys. and Duke Kaboom, he puts the can in Canada. He's the Canadian stuntman.
Oh my
Hilarious. God. And Reeve is perfect.
Oh my God. I can't wait to see that. I think everyone, this is like a Keanu, I think we call it the Reevaissance right now.
Right. The Reevaissance. I heard about that. But he's so low key. Does he still not live anywhere? Is he still just living in a hotel?
I don't know. Does he?
For years, he never had a residence. He just lived in the hotel.
Oh my
he
God.
made enough money just to live in the hotel.
He's just kind of one of those guys that can crash anywhere, I guess.
Right, and you know, he's also ageless. Like Tom Cruise, they go the same. You know, they signed the same contract with the devil. So.
Oh, I wouldn't. I mean, I could insert a devil's advocate joke there, but I wouldn't say.
Nah, I'm not a big fan of the what is it, the
Renaissance?
No, I'm a big fan of Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
John Wick, I'm not a big fan of that series.
Yeah, like to me, it seems like a strange time to have those movies out.
I agree.
But,
I agree for the same exact reason you're thinking about the gun issues, and I
yeah.
So
But outside of that, like, you know, I don't think we have a lot of guns in Toy Story yet.
No.
We could have a toy gun, but yeah.
Right. But I will say just the last John Wick, which I kind of forced myself to see, and I most likely I'm not going to see anymore. But the point is, they are trying to establish a John Wick universe.
Yeah.
So there is the potential here to make it much more than just shooting people in the head, but I doubt it.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, that's kind of the
kudos
appeal
to
of
the
movies.
Renaissance.
Yeah, exactly. I love Keanu Reeves. He's like the most down-to-earth guy. He takes a subway to work. You know,
well, that's
he
what I'm
bought
saying.
everyone motorcycles.
He really excused that whole glamour aspect of it.
Yeah.
I'm as much enamored of his lifestyle as I am of his acting.
I think that's more so why people love him. It's kind of proof, like, if you're a good person, good things can happen.
He's coming on 40 years as an actor, so you know that's.
I thought he was 50.
No, I'm just saying he's been an actor for almost 40 years.
Yeah, but he is ageless. I have that too when I work out, but yeah. Like, people ask me if I lost weight. I'm like, no, all I did was just grow my hair and my beard and just establish like a Jesus look, and like it just works out. Was there anything in the movie that you didn't like or you think will displease the fans?
That's an interesting question too. I not really. I mean, because they established their own rhythm with the new story, you were engaged. I was engaged the whole time. So there wasn't. I mean, you know, I gave it 4.5 out of 5. So I took a half star off for what? Probably I'm not the target audience.
Right.
So, yeah. But you know, you have to acknowledge that this is a new direction, and give it kudos to the creators, and that's all I really, you know, want to emphasize. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask what your overall rating is, but I think we answered that.
Answered that question. I was going with 4, but then as I was writing the review, I said no, I got to give it the extra half.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't perfect, of course, but I definitely think for the touches that they did and the direction and story, I had to give them the extra half.
Yeah, I mean,
just
that's
like they care, but
it's stunning how they keep making these movies and delivering. Because every time when they said Toy Story 4, as a fan,
right,
I had a very visceral, angry reaction. I wanted to, like, film myself on the camera just screaming, like, you're going to ruin it. You know, you ended the story perfectly, but it sounds like they're opening the gap for a new story.
Opening a new gate, man. That's what you do, you know. And this sequel can teach a lesson to all other sequels. You know, let's not do a sequel. Let's do another story.
Yes.
You know, and I'm not as huge a fan, obviously. Again, it's just not my generation. But when you think about it, it's been 24 years, an entire generation growing up with Toy Story.
Yeah.
So I could see where if you're an intense fan, you're like, 4, we don't need 4. We had a conclusion.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think, again, they pad it, too. They let 9 years go by. You know, you have to, when you figure.
So Bonnie's older in this, then?
Well, not particularly older. I think they let 2 years of real time go
so it's
by.
not okay.
She's going into kindergarten, so I can't remember
it 9
what
years since Toy Story 3?
2010, bro.
Oh my God, I'm old. All
well, not only that, but time is just a rapid little river.
Yes.
So,
Yes, it is.
yeah.
But yeah, that would explain it because I remember they call Andy's cell phone in the beginning of Toy Story 3, and it's like one of those flip phones.
Sure. And
Yeah.
well, also too, you figure it takes about 3 years to make one. So,
Yeah.
about 3 years ago, they said, okay, what do we have? Give it to us and see what we can do. And that looks good. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, I'm very relieved to hear this.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the movie tomorrow, and then to write up my review. And thank you, Pat, for talking about Toy Story 3. And when we come back,
Toy Story 4.
Toy Story. Oh God, I gotta censor that.
Toy Story. That's the porn version. If anybody wants to check that, I don't know. X-Hamster.
It was just all the years in between when the toys witnessed Andy going through puberty. Okay.
That's quite funny.
So that's your 4.5 out of
4
5
out of
star.
5 for
the sake of this show, we go
Toy
out of
Story
4 stars. So
4, I would give it again the 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
So that would be simple math.
Simple math.
Yeah. So 4.5 on HollywoodChicago.com, on WritePAReviews.com, or
3.5
on this podcast. So it would be 3.5 out of 4 for Pat. I'm going to see it tomorrow, and I'll let you guys know what I think.
Excellent.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about the Toy Story legacy.
Very good.
And how it connects to us. I'm going to get real emotional. All right, guys. Be right back. Okay, so we are back, and I wanted to talk about Toy Story the legacy because it is a legacy. This is 1995.
Yeah.
I was a kid in junior high then, I remember. And this was like a stunning Disney film because I didn't realize it at the time, but in the back of my head I must have realized it. Toy Story was sort of the first commercial animated film that wasn't only the first CG animated film, but it was also the first animated film that was set in a contemporary setting. It was kind of set in our own world. It wasn't about a prince falling in love with a princess or vice versa. There's no singing teapots or hunchbacks of Notre Dame or magical elves.
I think you forget Ants. Ants was set in our contemporary world.
Was that after?
Was that after?
I think that was
after. It was after. You're right.
Yes, that was after. Yes.
We have lived an entire generation with Toy Story.
And there's
24 years, 25 years being a generation, an entire generation with the Toy Story legacy. It is as ingrained as Winnie the Pooh or any of those other, great children's epics.
Absolutely. So when Toy Story came out for you, what was your experience like with that? Because I know, for me, I was a very, very.
I'm not the target audience. Obviously, I won't say my age at 1995.
Well, that's okay. I mean, the idea is I like to see the generational gap and just see how other people.
I'm trying to think if I even saw it in the theater, the first one, but I think I did, because at that time, being just a fan of films, you wanted to see what was hot and new, and of course that got a lot of hype when it came out. So I'm positive I saw it in the theater. But again, I split the two. 1 and 2 I saw as just a regular moviegoer, and 3 and 4 I saw as a critic. And on both ends of the spectrum, I enjoyed the series.
Yeah.
The third one, which is the most emotional one, which I acknowledge packed a real punch at the end. Still, I thought that there was a bit of a redundancy in that third one as they built to the climax. Okay,
was it the whole prison break thing and all that?
Well, it was one of those goofy adventures that
I agree actually with that, and in some ways, Toy Story 3. If it weren't, what's that? There's a line in adaptation that I absolutely love, which is win him in the end. That's what Brian Cox says, and that's definitely a movie that wins you in the end.
Right.
Because for the majority of it, like, it starts out wonderful, but that middle act, it's like, okay, the toys are stuck somewhere again.
Right,
they have to
right.
break out of somewhere again.
Right.
I don't know if they do that in Toy Story 4.
Well, I
Someone has to rescue
mean,
someone.
but again, the refreshingly new story takes away that problem. You know, in the first 3 Toy Stories, it's sort of the same dilemma. You know, in the same setting and the same people. So, you know, 4 is, you know, totally divorced from that. So, you know, we don't notice the cliches, as I mentioned in the first segment. So.
Yeah. But Toy Story was always resonant with me because, again, when movies link to childhood, I think that they leave a lasting, powerful impact. And as we've grown older, the filmmakers of Pixar and the characters of Toy Story have grown older with us.
Sure.
If you look at the first Toy Story, it's essentially just a movie about dealing with jealousy. You know, you have Woody, who's Andy's favorite toy. Buzz Lightyear comes in to rain on his parade.
Right.
And then the two have to learn to coexist with each other. And then Woody has to get over his character flaw, which is that he's not the center of the universe. He has to realize to care for others.
I was looking at the summaries for the 3 movies just to give myself a refresher. And I'd forgotten about, I believe it was in Toy Story 3, where Buzz Lightyear gets his setting turned off. And then when he comes back,
Demo
he's
mode.
Spanish.
Yes.
That's really great.
Oh, yeah. He gives, he asks the toys if they are, you know, compadres or amigos, and then I don't speak Spanish. And then he says
Very
amigos, and then he kisses Woody on the cheeks and kind of pats him.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, it's top creative people working on a top creative force. And, I mean, when you have that happening, you're going to get gold. And pretty much, it's not only gold creatively, it's a gold mine for Disney and Pixar. So,
well, the great thing about it is because it's so resonant. Like the first one, again, simple story about jealousy. They move on. And then the second one, which originally was supposed to be straight to video, because a lot of because a lot of Disney movies for the sequels, it's just the way it worked. But a year into production, sort of like when they had like maybe a rough cut or a rough edit of what they were doing, Disney thought it was so good they decided to release it theatrically. And the second one was the film that gave us the themes that we're all familiar with Toy Story relating to mortality, abandonment, you know, love, and it has these extremely heavy existential themes that as we get older, we connect to.
It's funny you say that because there's some existentialism in 4 that I found to be very, very refreshing. You know, why do I exist? You know.
That's what I was thinking. The existentialism came from, like with Forky, that he's built, and they're like, wait a minute, we were designed for a toy, and just some kid made us.
Right.
What like, are we just
the
a
exploration
joke?
of that character is refreshing in many, many, many ways.
And Disney must be going, how the hell are we going to make a toy out of that?
They will.
Yeah.
Somebody, it'll be manufactured.
They'll have like a Forky set where they'll give you like glue and
set.
stuff like that. Yeah, we can make your own Forky.
So let me ask you a question. What
Yeah.
is your favorite ancillary character? Let's just say that Woody and Buzz are the stars.
Yeah, so secondary.
Who of the secondary characters do you enjoy the most?
It's Rex. I love the fact that he's just this...
The great Wallace Shawn.
Yes, the great
voice.
late Wallace Shaw. It's amazing how many actors have passed away.
He's not dead. Wally ain't dead.
Oh, he's alive?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. All right, I thought
Rickles is dead.
Yes,
John
Rickles is dead. And,
who did Mr. Potato Head, and Jim Varney.
Jim Varney, I was going to say, yes.
Who did
Ernest, yeah.
Yeah, Ernest is dead.
Yeah.
Long live
But,
Ernest.
no, I was...
He did Slinky Dog, and then it was taken over by Blake Clark.
Yes. But I always loved Wallace Shaw's Rex because he's this dinosaur. You think he's going to be scary. He was created because, you know, they had Jurassic Park come out at the time. And what happened was he was just this neurotic, nervous mess of a dinosaur. And he's always kind of the comic relief. When I was listening to the audio commentary on the Blu-rays, they were talking about how they always wanted to give Rex more lines in 2, but then they had to like exchange him for other characters because Rex is just such a funny character. You know, he's kind of like, you always want to perceive someone as something. You know, but Rex is the exact opposite of the perception of what he is. So I kind of liked how they kind of played opposites with that. I guess if I were to choose another favorite character who's not the lead, it would have to be. It would have to. I like the piggy bank guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's great. What's the name of the actor from Cheers? He was the mailman.
Yeah, John Ratzenberger.
Yes. And I think he's voiced every Pixar character in every Pixar movie since Toy Story, if I remember correctly.
He's done it.
Yeah.
I have a dual like on the ancillary characters. Yeah. I like Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head because I love Don Rickles.
Yes.
And the classic, what are you looking at, you hockey puck?
Yeah.
It was in the first movie.
And then,
right?
of course, the mother from Seinfeld. Yeah.
And Estelle, what's her last name? Am I thinking of her character from Seinfeld? Estelle Harris.
Yes, she was George Costanza's mother.
And and also then tied with them, the Barbies.
Yeah.
Whatever Barbie format or Barbie. Yeah, my sister was a huge Barbie fan when we were kids, and I think they just handled that. They gave her enough satire, but enough tribute to make it very, very funny. Barbie essentially is comic relief in the Toy Story films.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the other characters do kind of seem like comic relief to a certain extent.
Sure.
You know, it's like mostly it's like Buzz, Woody, and then when you go into the sequels, you have Jesse, Bullseye, you know, the Prospector, Lotso, you know, like the antagonists got much more interesting after Sid. Which, I guess a fun fact, Sid was the garbage man in Toy Story 3. You know, who's always but I don't know if that's true or not, although the animators said that Sid was kind of like their version of what an animator would be as a kid, because in the end, we really played with toys the way Sid did, I think most of us, you know.
Well, you know what's amazing, too, is that I love how the animators try to bring in the classic voices like Rickles and Ratzenberger to a degree, but in this one, in this new one, they bring in Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks.
Oh my God, Mel Brooks is in the new one?
Spoiler alert, but Mel plays Melephant Brooks, and Carl Reiner plays Carl Reinerosaurus. Oh. So no, I like that they tribute the old timey guys.
Yeah.
Rickles had a career revival in a sense. I mean, Rickles never had a downturn in his career.
No.
But bringing him to a new audience was real significant for him.
Yeah.
And he said in his later years that he would be approached as much for Mr. Potato Head as he was being Don Rickles, which he enjoyed immensely. So
the true beauty of Toy Story is with the secondary characters, because you have toys, you literally have a toy chest of, you know, other sort of characters you could bring. I remember the telephone from Toy Story 3 where, you know, you expect him to have this cute voice and you pick up the receiver and it's like, hey, cowboy, you got it.
Well, also, too, you know, they mix in the ones they made up, like Woody and Buzz, with Barbie and Mr. Potato Head and Slinky Dog.
Michael Keaton as Ken,
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's funny because there are classic toys that we all, you know, understand as sort of a shorthand for everybody.
Yeah.
And it was in 4 they bring in the old ventriloquist dummy, which
that was the original concept for Woody. Yeah.
It was always a classic.
Woody
my brother had a ventriloquist dummy. I think everybody in the last 3 generations had one person that got a ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah, so growing up,
Christmas
what kind of toys did you have? Like, what
That's
toys resonate with you as a kid, you know, as an adult today? Because that's the thing about
I can barely remember, but I did like the ones that spurred imagination. We did, my brothers and I had a lot of action figures.
Yeah.
We liked our G.I. Joe. Well, not so much G.I. Joes. We liked the kind of the superhero knockoffs
Yeah.
The Mego, the first series of superheroes, we had a complete collection of. Captain Action, which is another. But we like games too.
Yeah,
as
like
I
board
recall.
games. Yeah.
God, that's a great question, man. I really, if I had thought about it before I sat down, I probably could have come
Well,
up with
that's okay.
things. But
No.
we were really trendy. I mean, our big time was late '60s to about '80.
Yeah.
So, for some reason, my parents knew the zeitgeist, or we begged for the zeitgeist. So we had a Knievel doll in our family. We did have Hot Wheels, is a huge thing too. Hot Wheels. Everybody had that case with their collection of Hot Wheels, and all the way up to the first video games, which my younger brother Mike was the guy who drove that one. So it was
Atari
just
or
the Atari. We had the Atari. We had the Pong. We had the
did you have the one where you had to put the screen over the screen where like you just have two dots, but the screen would have a layout for where the dot would go?
No, well, I don't recall that, but I know that the early ones, I know we had the early, we were, I think, literally one of the first in the neighborhood to have Pong, and I have no idea. Maybe my younger brother wanted it badly, and everybody was just gobsmacked. You know, we're talking 77, 78, 79, I can't remember the exact year, but everybody's like, oh my God, and literally would sit there for hours.
It's like mind-blowing back then.
It is. It is.
So then, like, you know, when 1980,
I don't know how anybody's mind's blown now. Are kids' minds blown today? I mean, they practically sit in the movie today with modern video games. I just don't.
If you play like Uncharted or.
Of course, the online stuff has created a new, energy that is beyond my comprehension.
Oh yeah, you get the good people and then the trolls, and I'm very thankful that I grew up, I'd say, around the 80s, because, like, I was born, I'll just give it away, I was born in 85.
What?
Yeah, and I'm grateful for that because I grew up around...
So you were 10 years old when that first one came out?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Perfect age, you know?
Yeah.
So, of course, it resonates with me a lot.
What were your favorite toys?
Okay, so before, because I was about to talk about like how Toy Story.
So you're talking your sweet spot was from like early '90s through about 2000.
Yeah.
So what were your?
My favorite toys had to be. They weren't the ones that sparked imagination, because when I was a kid, they put the imagination on the screen for us.
Sure, absolutely.
So
it's a huge difference.
Yeah, I had the toy set for the X-Men television series.
Nice.
So I had the X-Men base, I had Wolverine and
Nice.
Beast, I had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, that was big. That was huge.
I had all those guys. And I also had, let's see, Batman 1989.
Very good,
And when I went to C2E2 this year, I remember I said it in my little Roger Ebert video, like, I came here for the toys, I better find some 1989 Batman stuff. And I ended up finding a cowl that was pretty detailed. For
it's so funny, I just did another podcast about the 89 Batman.
Yeah, I'm doing the same one for Batman Returns.
I was very pleased to see that held up beautifully. It really did.
Yeah, I just bought my brother-in-law for 4K.
It's like a classic. It's like talking about Casablanca 30 years after that came out, in the 70s.
I never thought I'd hear Batman and Casablanca used in the same sentence.
Classic films hold up.
Yeah.
They really do. And
is it classic for its look or for...
It's classic for its transitioning powers.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one that really stepped over the line. Superman was close, but Superman was not produced by the right people. Batman was produced by the right people.
Yeah.
Michael Uzlan, I have to give him credit. He's the one that bought the rights to make Batman movies, and he was insistent on bringing it back to the Bob Kane days, where he was the brooding, dark, Knight.
Yeah.
Of the, you know, and also influenced by Dark Knight Returns,
Yes.
the graphic novels, influenced by The Killing Joke. I mean, it all came together in a perfectly cast movie. You know, I forgot how much kind of Batman's in the background because of Nicholson's Joker, but still, they were great. It was a great protagonist-antagonist situation, and it just works once again.
Yeah.
Even
Well,
to the end, even to the ironic, beautifully done ending. So I was very, very pleased.
The ironic ending being, I don't think we're giving away spoilers.
No, not at this point. She
with-
gets into the car,
Yeah.
and
He's going to be late.
right.
She says, I'm not surprised.
right,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Batman. But yeah, I had the 89 one. I had the Joker where you dip his face. I want to talk about Batman so bad now, but I'm talking about it, though, on Ian's podcast. I'm talking about Batman Returns on it in July. I'm excited. Yeah, I had the Joker toy where you would dip the face in water and it would wash off the makeup. And then I would have the Batmobile, the Batwing, Batman himself. I found Bob the Goon on eBay.
You know that Nicholson got a piece of the merchandising.
Yeah, he was smart, and what he said, I don't want a salary. I just want a percentage of the merchandise.
And the gross.
Yeah.
He cleared $60 million from that.
Oh, he made a ton of money.
Yeah.
And but yeah, those were really big toys for me. And then of course, Toy Story was big for me. And the reason Toy Story, the reason toys I think are so close to us and Toy Story works is because we remember the toys that we grow up with. And do you ever go through your old stuff and you run into an old toy and then the memories come flooding in?
Nostalgically, you know, if you go online, I'm sure you can get a toy catalog from, let's say, what would be my prime years.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say, but 69, 70, 71, 72. And if I look at those, I would be like, wow, you know, my God, you know, that's if you would have given me this question a week ago, that's probably what I would have done.
Oh no, I want it to be.
Understand.
I want it to be genuine.
I'm glad you did extemporaneously because it just brings back a lot of great memories.
Because now you start remembering.
My brother passed away last year, and he was the guy who was the pop culture guy in our family, and he was the one that brought in all of those items that were associated with comics and
movies. I remember you told me you collected a lot of comics.
Yeah, he was the one. He was the one that did it, and before he passed, I would say to him with every new superhero movie, because we always had download a week later after he saw it, and we always thought about it for a week, and then we would talk for an hour and a half on the phone about it.
Yeah.
But I always said at the end or the beginning of these conversations is that the current era of movies was made for the way we grew up in the comic books. So cheers to him.
Yeah.
Distrovia.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Yeah, but see, that's what toys bring to us. It brings us memories. It makes us remember the ones that we love.
Right.
And
that's why Toy Story works.
Yeah.
That's why it works.
It's so
That's
resonant.
why it rains. That's why it will continue to rain as long as they want it to rain.
I could get into the plot of each film, but I think
just talking
about
just talking about the good toys is pretty much the best tribute you can give to the whole series. And
because I remember and I include this in my essay, which is on YPAreviews.com.
There you go.
And I remember Burger King in '96 when the movie was going on home video. They had 3. I guess they were talking toys, but mine didn't talk. I don't know. Maybe they ripped me off, those bastards. But they had Buzz, Woody, and an RC car. They were very well produced toys. Like, man, the toys they give away back then were just like how am I getting this? And
they were much better manufactured back then.
So my folks would take me way out of the way to get these toys, and we called the Burger King ahead of time to make sure they had that one toy, because I didn't want to just get another Buzz, another Woody. It was really hard to find RC, actually. And
Do you still have any of those?
Yes. So
great.
the point of this story is, I don't know what happened to Buzz. I don't know what happened to RC. But I still have Woody. And when I think of that Woody, I remember when my late pet rabbit would grab it by the hand and drag it across the floor, and you'd hear like the hollow boots clanking against the ground. And now with my 1-year-old nephew, I gave him that toy, and he instantly fell in love with it. He usually destroys everything like the preschoolers at the summer daycare center in Toy Story 3. But here he's gentle with it. He like hugs it. He goes to sleep with it. And whenever Toy Story comes on the screen, he sees Woody's face, he'll go from running around the room to just sitting still while holding that doll.
He's amazing.
And it just reminds you of the power of these films. Right. And to me, now playing with that toy, my other toys with him, I felt like Andy handing off the next generation of toys to someone else. So now when I see that scene, it resonates so much more.
Well, I don't,
because I know one of my colleagues, we did a video with him way back where he was kind of saying, "Oh, that's so stupid! Like a grown man's playing with toys with a kid." But now that I see now that I have someone who's younger, and maybe one day I'll have children, I could see myself playing with toys with them, and
absolutely.
Play with Woody with him today, and
you never lose your connection to it. You never. I mean, you can sit down. If you were to sit me down in front of an antique toy that I had as a kid, I'd know exactly what to do with it.
Yeah.
And if I was playing with a child with it, I would do the same things I did with it.
Yeah.
And the child would connect to the way they do it. And that just that never changes, man.
Yeah.
That never changes. And I think that's the best tribute to Toy Story you can ever, talk about.
Because although they always worry about because it relates to themes of what's going to happen in our lives when people we love maybe don't care for us anymore, or what's going to happen when we move on in our lives, or people that we know pass away, or that, we end up, because the thing is that we know that we all wither, we all get older, but we can always fight for a fruitful present. And the thing that really resonates with me is that you can never take away my youth. No matter how old I get, I can always be young in spirit. And Toy Story kind of represents that innocence and that optimism for always having not just a better future, but a
better remembrance of your past.
Yeah, a better remembrance of your past, fulfilling present. So, yeah, these movies are extremely effective because of that.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if it's a kid's film or not, because you know what? They might be kids' films, but as adults, we get them so much more. So I think when most people go to see Toy Story 4, yeah, there'll be kids in the audience, but there'll be a lot of grown men like me.
Just don't sit by them, kids, all right?
Yeah.
You want to stay away from strangers like that.
Yeah.
Stranger danger.
Yeah. If you see a short guy with a beer belly and long hair and a beard, stay away from him. No, actually, no.
You'll probably agree.
Yeah, you'll probably. Thank you, Pat, so much for coming on.
You're welcome, sir. I always enjoy this.
Go on HollywoodChicago.com and check out his Toy Story 4 review.
Yep, tonight.
Yep. It's gonna be
what is the date today?
Today is
June 19th.
June 19th.
Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be uploading this. I think
June
like
19th.
in the next day or maybe even today.
Very good.
So, and then on YPA reviews, my review will be up in 1 or 2 days.
Right.
Thank you so much again, Pat.
And to infinity and beyond.
You're my favorite deputy. Reach for the sky.
I am Buzz Lightyear. I protect the galaxy from the threat of invasion. To infinity and beyond.